Good evening, grade sixes. I hope you're all doing well and we're at home now. And so remember, we're watching this our next video on our grammar that you have to watch really carefully to make sure we know what we're doing for our quiz on Friday. Okay, watch it a few times if you need to. Come see me later in the week if you need to. I'm going to tell you exactly what's on the quiz later in this movie. Okay, I'm going to tell you exactly what to do. You all should be getting perfect because you'll know what to do and that I'll know if you followed this video or not and watched it carefully or not. Okay, so with this, our idea this week is commas, like I talked about in class briefly. So in our note sheet, you need to follow along and write in with me. I'm going to write in red. You'll write in whatever color you want. I'm going to write bigger than you should just so that, because my screen is far away, so that you can see it. And then you'll see it's really small here, but you have this in front of you. And if you don't, you need to pause this video, go get the sheet, and bring it back. Okay, so part of the homework is filling in the examples with me today. And then on the back, you'll do practice, and I'll tell you what to do and how to do that in a minute. So, commas. Let's review just quickly the two ways we've already looked at commas to remember these are two we also need to remember, and then we'll learn the third way that we're going to use commas, which will be the focus of this week's grammar idea. So the first one is we always use commas when there's a list of 3 or more. So let's think of an example. Okay, if you were here in the class, I would ask you for examples. You are not. So I will think of one and fill it in, and you need to fill in the same example with me. So how about we say, I went to the store and bought apples, oranges, and grapes. Period. That is a sentence. The reason we put commas in is because there's more than 3 things in our list. Remember, we can circle this comma because it's optional. You don't have to put it in, but you have to put that comma in. So any other list, when you have many things in the list, you put commas in between them, except for the last one, but just before the last one, you put and there can be a comma before the and, there doesn't have to. You have the freedom to choose. Okay? We remember that. Let me erase this one, so if you haven't written it down, push pause, write it down, then continue. Okay? So the next one, let's do when you're writing a date, another way that we need it. So let's say today is Monday, comma, April 15th, comma, 2013. Good, so we don't put a comma between April and the number. It's like this is all about the month. So you keep all the month information together. You don't need a comma, but this tells us the day, this tells us the month, this tells us the year. You separate each piece of information with a comma. We know this. This is nothing new. Okay? Again, if you don't have it written down, pause it, write it down because I'm about to erase it and continue. Don't you love having me at home? It's just great, isn't it? Next, it says, but there are some other times when you should use commas. Let's look at these. Okay, so this is what the main information will be about, that your quiz will be about. Okay, use a comma when adding extra information into a sentence. Okay, and just thinking logically, that extra information, we want to show it's extra. That's we're going to put commas around extra information. So whenever we want to say an extra detail in our writing, which is very much encouraged, and in level 4 writing, when we paint a picture with our writing, we're adding extra information in, put commas around that extra information. Okay? So there's 3 ways you could put commas in. You could put it in the beginning of a sentence. You could put extra information in the beginning. You could put extra information in the middle, or you could put extra information at the end. And we're going to look at the 3. The most common place for extra information, and the one that most students have a hard time with, is the middle. So that's why I put the beginning of our note sheet. Then next we'll look at beginning and then end, and we'll give examples of those so that you're really clear of what to do. So I have little notes here, so don't mind me. Look, I've come prepared so that I can give you the best examples possible. So let's look at the middle, when there's extra information in the middle of the sentence. This is fine to do. Good writers do this. It makes it more complex or sentences and adds that extra detail. but you need to put commas around it. So you're probably wondering, well, I don't understand that. So let's look at some examples because that's the best way to understand. So, one example is, my sister, and now we're going to give extra information of what the sister's name is. Okay, we don't not need it. It won't make the sentence necessarily complete, but it's extra bonus information. So let's say her name is Sarah, so comma, Sarah, comma. So we put the extra information at the beginning of a comma in front of the extra information and after the extra information. So my sister, Sarah, is 2 years older than me. Again, you're writing this into the line. And if you need to write small, you write underneath the line. I'm writing bigger so that you can see it in my video camera. Okay? So you don't write it this big, I'm just doing it this big so you can actually see it. Good. So my sister, Sarah, comma, is 2 years older than me. This is extra information, the word Sarah, because if we took it out, my sister is 2 years older than me, that makes perfect sense without the Sarah. The Sarah is just extra, so that's extra information. We put commas before and after it. Okay, it also could say my sister, who lives in another province, is 2 years older than me. So if you had a sister living somewhere else, you could say that, who lives in another province, that's extra information. Okay, if you're saying something about Sarah that has nothing to do with her being 2 years older than you, but you're giving extra bonus information, it goes, the comma comes before it and after. Pretty easy. Let's look at another one. My favorite class. My favorite class. We're now going to give extra information, comma, which is math. Comma, happens in room 202. Or 201. We'll see actually where it does happen. Okay? So the real sentence here is my favorite class happens in room 201. Which is math is just extra information of which class it is, what subject it is. So it's in, there's a comma before it and after it. Don't just write this down, make sure you understand it, and if you need to go back, maybe pause, rewind this a couple minutes and try it again to make sure you're getting why there's commas there, not just that to put commas in is a really good idea. So my favorite class, which is math, happens in room 201. There's a comma before and after which is math, because that's extra detail. My favorite class happens in room 201. That sentence could hold on its own. We don't need more information to make it a full sentence. We're just adding that into extra information, so we put commas before and after it. Got it? Moving on. Number 2. When the extra information is the beginning of the sentence. So what do we do then? Let me pause and get my next note. Here we go. So, when the extra information is at the beginning, and you do this all the time and you just don't realize it. So let me give an example. So, often I say in writing, when you're saying, I'm saying, always say for example and give examples. I'm always saying that to you. So when we do that, the word for example in a sentence is extra information. So for example, here's a sentence. For example, comma, polar bears will drown without ice. So we've looked at that in the class, how polar bears need the ice so they don't drown. Okay? That could be something to support something in your writing, but if you use the word for example, that's extra information. Okay? Really, polar bears will drown without ice. That could hold on its own. But you're telling the reader that this is an example, so that's extra information at the beginning of the sentence. So in that case, you just do for example, comma, so you put a comma at the end of that extra information, and then you give your sentence. Okay, that's example of putting it at the beginning. Another one, let's say you're writing a procedure, or actually we'll do procedure, the third one. Let's say you're using the word please. Whenever you use the word please at the beginning of a sentence, that's actually extra information. You're just being polite, and then you're giving your information. So for example, please, comma, can we go for ice cream? And that's a question, so you have a question mark. Okay, you really said, can we go for ice cream? that could hold on its own. But whenever you say please, that's extra information. Please, can we go for ice cream? This is just being polite, you're adding that in, so you put a comma. Another one is well. So well, again, you're writing a story. Well, that's not true. If a character said that, well, that's not true is the sentence. The word well is the beginning, is extra information, so you always put a comma. Another one would be like a procedure, when we use transition words. When you say first do this, then do this, next do this. First, next, then are all transition words that you're adding in. They all are extra information. So for example, next, comma, he wrote his name on the page. So let's say we're writing a procedure of what someone did. This is extra information, the word next. So it could say first, he wrote his name on the page. Then, he wrote his name on the page. All of those, so maybe let's pretend, let's put brackets. It could be any of these. These are all, right, they transition to another sentence, right? First, then, next, finally. All those words are extra information, and they're great, you need those. But then you put a comma, because then you give the real sentence. So next, comma, he wrote his name on the page. He wrote his name on the page is a sentence on its own. You're adding next, or first, or then, or finally, whatever word, and you always put a comma. This is extra information, which is really important, but you want to show it with a comma. Got it? Let's move on. Number 3. At the end of the sentence. Now this is where we've done this actually before and you just haven't realized it. For example, a complex sentence really is a sentence with extra information. So whenever you're using those connecting words like because, that you would never start a sentence with because, so, but, all those words that connect two simple sentences together, whenever you do that, you need to put a comma before the connecting word. And not always, but generally for this lesson, let's say it is always. It's not quite, and in class I'll explain more. But for now, let's say it's always to make life easier. So let's do some examples. Let's say I hate going camping because I always get bug bites. So for example, here, I'm going to write it up here so you can see it better, but you need to write each of these examples. There are 3 of them I'm going to give in the last one where it says extra information at the end of the sentence. Okay? So, I hate camping because I always get bit by bugs. I hate camping because I always get bit by bugs. Okay, this is the connection word, right? It's connecting the 2 sentences, I hate camping, with I always get bit by bugs, and we've done this before. There's a comma, I hate camping, comma, because I always get bit by bugs. Really, this extra part, because I always get bit by bugs, is really extra information. The main part of the sentence is, I hate camping. This isn't telling me why I hate camping, it's extra information. So really that's good to go along with our theme where you put in a comma before or after around extra information. It's the same thing, comma, because I always get bit by bugs. So whenever the word just before because, put a comma, before but, put a comma. So let's do one with another one. So I went to my friend's house yesterday, which is 2 doors down from my house. So I went to my friend's house. It's his house, remember it's apostrophe S, my friend's house. Now we're going to give extra information of where the friend's house is, and it's at the end of the sentence, which is fine, comma, which is down the road. Okay, really this is the connecting word, which. I went to my friend's house, which is down the road. Make sure there's a comma. This is, and then, because this is the main sentence. One sec. There we go. And that is not my iPad, so you did not just see the password of my iPad. You saw it to someone else's, but I'm not going to tell you who. Okay, so I went to my friend's house, comma, which is down the road. So that extra information is at the end of the sentence, which is fine. You just put a comma before that extra information. Excellent. Last one. Let's use but. Because another one, we never start the sentence with but. It's always in the middle. We always put a comma. Because really, as soon as you use the word but, you're giving extra information. The store is closed. But we can go back to my house. Period. Okay, where should I put the comma? The store is closed, comma. That's the sentence, really. Now we're giving extra information, but we can go back to my house. So this is a connecting word. You put a comma before the connecting word. This gives extra information of where they're going, even though the store is closed. Okay, the store is closed, comma, but we can go back to my house. This is one that we can go back to my house is a simple sentence. The store is closed is a simple sentence, but connects it. There's a comma before that. So if you still don't understand these three, and probably the third one is also a hard one, please come see me. Watch this a couple times to hear everything I have to say. Then come see me before Friday, and then I can go through more of this, because I want you to do well, because a lot of you use these in your writing, but you don't put the commas in the right space, or you don't put a comma in at all, and you're really going to be dinged on EQAO, and in my class on your report card, if we're not doing this. So extra information, let's define it, finally. Extra information, I'm going to put this up here, even though you're going to write it down below in the line. Okay, extra information means it's not needed for the sentence. So to make this sentence happen, it's not needed. And all the examples we gave, it had that. It's not the verb, it's not part of the sentence, it's not the meat of the sentence. It gives extra information that we wouldn't need to understand the sentence. Okay, it gives us that extra detail. So it's not needed for the sentence, maybe a comma, extra detail. We always talk about detail in this class. And so that's a really good way to explain it. Now let's flip over to look at your homework. I'll help you with the first couple, and then you're able to go on your own. To make things fun though, I'm also going to give you a listen code right now. So what's going to happen on your page on Friday, if you write this listen word, this word that showed me that you were listening, on your test, you're going to get a bonus mark. Okay, so let's say the listen code for this week is monkey. So if you write the word monkey, like the animal, somewhere on the top of your page, not anywhere, the top beside your name, then you're going to get an extra bonus mark, because it shows me you were listening to this video, and I purposely put it in the middle so that you had to listen to, you didn't know where, and you didn't have to just fast forward and just skip the part where you didn't want to listen, that you're listening to the whole thing. So don't tell your friends, just do this yourself. I won't say anything else about this. Okay, if you write the word monkey beside your name, not as your name, beside your name, on your quiz on Friday, I will give you a bonus mark, because that means you were listening to the video. So just for fun, once in a while will do that. Not every week, you never know when, but I'm going to do that. Okay, so practice. It says, add in commas if needed, so it might not always be needed, in the sentences below. So first, my brother, who is 2 years older than me, likes to watch SpongeBob SquarePants. Well, where's the extra information? Well, my brother, who is 2 years older than me, likes to watch SpongeBob SquarePants, who is 2 years older than me. That's telling me extra information about the brother. So my brother, comma, who is 2 years older than me, comma, likes to watch SpongeBob SquarePants. Let's make sure. My brother likes to watch SpongeBob SquarePants. Yes, that makes sense on its own. Adding this extra information in, that's not needed, it's extra detail, so we put commas at the before and after it. The next one, let's do two together. The car, a 1967 Ford Mustang, is very fast. Again, in the middle, a car, so a 1967 Ford Mustang, that tells me more detail about the car, is very fast. Good. Before the quiz on Friday, we'll go through all of these to make sure we're understanding them. So don't just stick commas in wherever, actually go through all of these. There's some at the beginning, middle, and end of all of the practice. Good. Finally, the hard part. Below, I've given you some sentences without any extra information, and you need to add in the extra information. For the sake of your studying and ready for the quiz, don't just put it all in the same spot. Don't put them all in the middle. Don't put them all at the end. Don't put them all at the beginning. Do ones where you do a couple of, like one in the middle, maybe one at the end, one at the beginning. Do a variation of where you put the extra information, because on the test that will help you, and in a moment I'll explain why. So let's do the first one together. My favorite hockey team is playing tonight. Well, you could give extra information about who your favorite hockey team is and put it right in the middle of the sentence. So let's say it's the Toronto Maple Leafs. So we could say my favorite hockey team, comma, the Toronto Maple Leafs, comma, are playing tonight. So you have to change it to are, okay? But that's fine. My favorite hockey team, comma, the Toronto Maple Leafs. And again, if it's not your favorite hockey team, you can change it to your favorite hockey team, comma, are playing tonight. Perfect, good. I just took the sentence and I added extra information with commas where needed. Okay? And I changed the word are to is, which is fine. If you need to do that for the others and just slightly change a word, but still have the same meaning, you go for it. But you need, the point is you're adding commas with extra information. That is the point of these exercises. So if you have questions, come see me about this. I'd be happy to help you. Now for the quiz. The quiz. What's going to happen is I'm going to give you 3 or 4 similar to these ones, where I give you a sentence with extra information but no commas, and you need to put the commas into the right spot. And then the bulk of the mark will be, I'm going to give you ones just like this, and then you need to add extra information in. But my extra piece I'm going to put into the quiz is I'm going to say, for example, this one, I might say, give you the sentence, but say, put the extra information in the middle, or put it at the beginning, or put it at the end. I'm going to tell you where I want the extra information to go. I'm not going to say what to put in it. I'm going to say just where should it go. And then you need to put it where I've asked you to go. So my friend loves eating chocolate. I might say put the extra information for this one at the end. And then you need to rewrite the sentence with extra information with the commas in place at the end, because that's what I've asked. So obviously they won't be these exact ones. They'll be different, but I'm going to be more specific on the quiz and say where I want the extra information. That's why I'm saying for these ones, don't put it all in the middle or all at the beginning or all the extra information at the end. Put them in different spots for each one. Or even a really good study tip to really get level 4, to ensure you're level 4, is write extra information first in the middle, then on another piece of paper, write extra information at the end or the beginning. So use the same sentence and rework it different times to put extra information at different spots, and maybe different extra information. That would be a really smart idea. Good. So if you don't understand this, watch it a couple more times, come see me, I'd be happy to help you, and then we'll be able to do really well on the quiz. Sayonara.